Hello, welcome to the Mike Weatherford Show. Man, I want to thank all my listeners and followers out there. Man, it's been going on now about 2 months, about the 20th show we're doing. And I can't thank my listening audience enough and for following me, keeping up with us, and watching us grow. Man, we are working hard to be the place that you go to keep up with what's going on in our little community, our county, our state, and we're going worldwide. Billy, can you believe that it's been, Billy, what in the world is happening over here?
Well, you said Miss Brenda didn't have no contract, so I was going to see if she might help me out with the leafy suits.
Well, geez, I looked up and I thought, man, we got to get some weed eating going on around here. Look like a bunch of weeds sitting over there. Billy, can you believe that it's been about number 20 shows so far?
We done 20 of these?
20 of these, man. Can you believe it?
Gracious.
And we're still going and growing.
Yeah.
Tell everybody how it is to be the co-host with me.
Well, it's pretty rough. He makes fun of me. He thinks I'm soft, but I'm not.
Hey, I'm not going to waste no time, Billy. I'm going to tell you.
We're not going to get her out here.
I'm going to tell you what's going on. We have got a special guest tonight, another one. Can you believe that? We keep getting special guests.
I'm excited about this one.
This guest right here, is the first lady of hunting.
Yeah, if it wasn't for folks like her,
that's right,
I wouldn't be able to do what I'd get to do.
Right. I'm going to invite
paved the way.
Miss Brenda Valentine, the first lady of hunting. Come on out, Miss Brenda. Welcome to the show.
Hey. Thank you. Pretty good.
Good.
Welcome, and thank you for coming in.
Well, heck, Mike, you told me if I'd show up, you'd feed me supper.
I know. I mean, how can you get any better than that if you just show up? How in the world are you doing?
Well, let me see if I've got these wires straight, and I'll
got
tell
them
you.
fine. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Man, how you been doing?
Wonderful. Absolutely. Couldn't be better.
Did you get any rain a while ago?
Oh, it was doing that flat rock deal out about Whitlock.
Yeah. Like pouring pee out of a boot.
Or a cow.
Or a cow. Yeah, there you go. Well, how you been doing?
Well, I just told you, I'm wonderful. It's been a busy year. It's been a unusual and kind of rough year with a lot of bumps, but personally, I'm doing wonderful. I mean, considering everything that's going on around us and everything, right. My little world is fine.
Right. Why am I hearing music?
Because somebody's playing music. I mean, okay. that's why you hear music.
Oh, okay. That was in my right ear, just wearing me out. So, thank you for coming on the show. It means a lot to me to have somebody of your caliber, and you're well known, and to take a little time out of your life to come see an old country boy like me really means a lot to me. So I want to thank you.
Mike, you've had some really top-notch guests. And I feel like you're beginning to scrape the bottom now. but you really have. I mean, I commend your show. It's so well put together, and some of the guests, and they represent so many different fields. I mean, you're not hung on the same thing. Every guest is different, yes. And you're touching a lot of people, and you're doing a great job.
Well, I appreciate it. I couldn't do it with all the crew out here. I mean, look around. Can you see all these people?
Yeah,
people don't realize how we got a bunch of people.
You got a bunch of professionals. I've worked with professionals, right. And I recognize them when I see them.
We got them going here. I mean, I'm blessed. And look at my co-host. Yeah. How could I even do anything?
Well, I couldn't see him a while ago. He looked like somebody raked up a pile of leaves.
That's what I said. That's what I said a while ago. But Billy, believe it or not, and I became friends probably about a year ago, and this man knows
November.
That's right.
Be our anniversary.
Yeah, our anniversary.
Well, who makes friends in November?
Well, my car was broke down. That's what.
Okay, but I mean, we're all in the woods in November.
That's right.
That is the gathering month.
He started hanging out at the hunting cabin too.
Isn't that convenient?
He invited me out there.
Fix your car and kill your deer. You couldn't beat a buddy like that.
Eating my cornbread. I mean,
did you adopt him?
I think I have adopted him.
He just don't know it yet.
Yeah. he just kind of just stuck. You know how it
Like a
is.
tick.
Just like a tick, like a big old blue tick. You know, just hanging around. And I told him one day, I said, we're gonna make a little show here, and I told him, I said, you know a little bit about everything, but you don't know nothing about nothing. And I said, I need somebody.
There's a demand for folks like
that's
that.
That's right. And so I picked him up and drug him in here, and I keep telling him, Billy, I'm not going to pay you.
Well, I figured that out.
Okay, he figured that part out
Yeah.
on his own. And we just started doing this little old show, and the producer, Kevin, he's got some experience in it. He just come to me one day, and we started talking, and we just decided we was going to do this, Brenda.
Well, good for
And
you.
speaking
You've
of-
done good.
Well, I appreciate it, but I couldn't do it without people like you.
It's my honor.
Well,
Well, it's
you
our honor.
We are honored.
I mean, just good gracious.
You're called the
alive.
first lady of hunting. What got you started into the hunting and the outdoors? How did you just back up to the beginning? How'd you get started in this?
Oh, I just have to say that's a God thing. You know, I grew up the poorest of the poor, I reckon, down in Buchanan. My dad was a big coon hunter. He trained hunting dogs. We lived on squirrels and rabbits and coons and stuff. There wasn't any big game around Henry County then, but we were isolated. I mean, when school went out in the spring, I didn't see other people until school started in the fall. We were that far from a gravel road. And so hunting was our entertainment. It was our means of livelihood by training dogs and selling them. And it was also our meat for the table. Being the only oldest child, I began following him. I was the first one, you know, that was allowed to shoot and go hunting and everything. So I grew up in it. I just knew it.
Just a way of life.
That's all we knew.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can relate.
Okay, so that was my background, and as I got older, I enjoyed when we got deer season, when we got turkey season, and then Tennessee opened bow season. You remember when we had our first bow season?
I do.
Well, I didn't know a bow from a banjo, but I thought if I could shoot a bow, I could kill another deer, you know. And
Earlier.
and so I went out to our old Uncle Lee's store and
Don't you
Uncle
miss that
Lee's.
store?
loved it.
Jesus,
I loved it. I could
you know what?
smell that popcorn
Thank you.
and
I know where one of them's at, over in Central City.
Yeah, but it's the same one we had.
I'm wanting to stop
that used
over
to be
and
the
look.
uncle, but it's changed hands
Yeah.
now. But it still has that smell. It
Yeah.
smells like cotton candy and popcorn when you walk in.
Still got a few animals in there,
It
too.
does, and most of those are Betty Dyers. A lot of them are, the lion and stuff. But anyway, I bought a bow.
We went down
and,
a rabbit hole. You know, I told you about rabbit holes. We just went down one when you said Uncle Lee. Me and you just went down a rabbit. Go
Okay,
ahead. I'm
okay.
sorry.
Well, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I started shooting that summer just in around the cow pasture. You know, I'd put all the dogs and chickens up because I was afraid I was going to kill one, and get out there in the yard and shoot hay bales and whatever, you know, and I just didn't know anything about it, but I was consumed by the whole shooting thing. I mean, I would put the kids to bed and shoot by the truck headlights at night until I lost all my arrows, and then I'd have to quit. And then in the wintertime when it got cold and I, you know, couldn't hardly shoot, I got to shooting in the house and putting holes in the wall. And my husband, he was just having a rigor. He was saying, if you don't quit shooting that thing. And so I would put tennis shoes in the clothes dryer and turn them things on where they'd bang and clang and he couldn't hear me, you know. And then I'd get the thickest
Ooh, that's my kind of woman
catalogs
right there.
and pillows and everything, you know, and you couldn't shoot but maybe 5 yards across the bedroom. But and then
So you had a big bedroom.
well, not five, but down the hall and
I
through him.
understand. I just joke.
But I figured out how to patch sheetrock like that. You know, I could patch them holes and smear over it a little bit. And then we had a neighbor that had a farron, a hog operation, had sows farron. And the crates were up 3-4 foot high, I guess. But I could finally get 20 yards shooting over a bunch of sows having pigs down at the far end of the farron house, and you know, get my practice in that way. Of course, you know, you had to wash your hair and all your clothes and everything when you come out of that hog house. It was pretty rank. But anyway, if you want to do something bad enough, you figure out a way. Right. And I was just the whole idea of shooting those bows. And the very first year I killed a deer, and I got to going around to these little tournaments in the people's, the little local tournaments. They'd have them in yards and wood lots and stuff, and I got pretty good at it. And it wasn't long till a bow company came to my house and asked me. They said, would you shoot for us? We're hearing a lot of stuff that you're whooping tail going down through the shooting tournaments and stuff. And I said, what's the catch to this? Nobody gives you something. And they said, no, we just want you to wear our cap and our shirt and shoot our bows. And I did, and that was the start.
The door,
I shot my way into the industry.
Man, so that old saying that hard work pays off, there it says.
Well, the doors opened and I walked in. And I guess that was it. Like I said, it was a God thing. I always believed that maybe growing up and working hard, hauling hay and busting wood and doing the things that I did growing up built the muscles or something. Maybe I was being groomed from a little kid.
Hard work.
To be able to physically do the things that I did.
Children nowadays don't know the work that went into back in the day, I guess you could say. We got back in the day what it took just to have breakfast.
They need to haul hay and
just
get
to have breakfast.
Tobacco patch.
Can you imagine telling the kid to go out there and get some wood so we can come in here and bust it and put it in the stove? Got to cook breakfast. You got to heat it up, get the wood going.
Back then, if you needed fried chicken, it took a long process. They
was
out there
it was just the slowest chicken in the field. That's all. That was the unlucky chicken that day.
Tell us about your first, let's call it TV show that you did. How did you get into that? Hunting and all that part of your career.
Well, being on TV or hosting TV?
Well, let's talk about your hunting. So let's say you was hosting. Let's go to hosting first.
All right. Well,
all right, what would come after you when you started shooting for the bow companies? What would be your next step to get to where Brenda Valentine is the first lady of hunting?
You did tournaments and stuff, shooting the bow tournaments.
I won a national championship at one time.
And then you worked your way up to...
Well, the bow company asked me to do seminars. I mean, we traveled, we did the circuit.
Did you say who the company was?
Yes, it was PSE out of Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I don't want to say anything. But I mean, Pete
you say
Shepley,
what you want to on here.
All right.
I don't want to get you in trouble.
Okay. So then they
Mike's
asked
one
me.
Can't say what he wants to. Yeah. Me and you can say what we want.
No conflicts here. Right. So they asked me if I would
that was a major company.
Oh yeah. Go to Bass Pro Shops in Springfield, Missouri, and at that time there was two. There was Springfield, which is the granddaddy, and then there was Atlanta in the little small one they had at that time.
Was you getting paid too?
To what?
To do all these seminars and shoot their bows. I just give you bows, or they pay you?
Well, at that time there was a little contingency if you won.
Gotcha.
I mean, it wasn't a big salary. It was, give you a shirt and a cap and a couple of bows a year, and maybe a little travel money if you went, 2 or 3 states up or whatever.
Just like my drag racing career, I started the same way.
So they asked me would I go to Springfield and talk to these people, give a seminar on bow hunting. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I don't need to be up in front of any people, but anybody that talks as country as me has no business on stage, so, but I went because the bow company wanted me to. And I walked in and I'm taking my Tupperware butter bowl full of deer pea and tarsal glands and all of my homemade hunting stuff, and my bow and 2 or 3 old deer heads, and I come dragging all my stuff in. And at that time they did seminars in what used to be a bowling alley and is now the outlet store. And there was chairs just as thick as you could stick them, like in a theater. Every chair was full, and they were standing 4 deep around the walls. I mean, you couldn't even get in the place. And I'm looking around and I'm thinking, this country girl is way out of her league. She needs to go to the house. But I looked, and they had me booked right behind Miles Keller, and any bow hunter knows who Miles Keller is, and right in front of Bill Jordan, which anybody knows who Bill Jordan is. And I'm thinking, well, that was good, because they give a chance for people to get up and go to the bathroom and stretch their legs a little bit before I came on. Wrong. Nobody got up because they didn't want to lose their seat. And so I come dragging all my plunder up there, and I'm thinking, nobody's going to, and there probably wasn't 2 women in the whole place. I think, all these old men are not going to listen to a woman tell them how to kill a deer. And so there was 3 or 4 older gentlemen with overalls sitting down near the front. So I focused on them. I thought, I can talk to these dudes.
Yeah.
You know, they
know what a hog
they
is.
come from where I come from.
Gotcha.
You know, I can talk to these guys. Well, in no time, boy, they're asking questions and wanting to know my secrets and all this stuff, and I'm just rattling on. Boy, I got on a roll, and I was talking hunting, and I had a ready audience, and it was all going good until this skinny guy walks out on stage, and he says, Miss Valentine, we're going to have to ask you to wind it up pretty soon, because you've already talked your hour and half of Mr. Jordan's hour. I was hoping the floor would just swallow me up. I grabbed those old deer heads, slung them over my shoulder, got my butter bowls full of deer pee, and I was headed home now. And Bill Jordan grabbed me by the arm on the way out, and he said, I'm not going to talk long. He said, well, he stood up and he said, turn her loose. I'm learning stuff. And I'm thinking, oh, no, this is the most embarrassed I've ever been. So I grabbed my stuff and was heading out. And he said, I'm only going to talk just a few minutes. He said, meet me for lunch afterwards. Okay. Well, when I got out the door, the tall, skinny guy that
Run y'all.
pulled me off the stage,
Yeah.
he grabbed me up and he said, come on, we got to go talk. And come to find out, that was Jerry Martin from Bass Pro Shops that had been there for 100 years. And we went back through, through all the back ways and everything. And he said, we've been looking for a woman for a long time to put on our hunting team. And he said, we hadn't found one. He said, we thought we was going to have to train one. And he said, we think we found you. And I said, well, I don't know. What does this mean? Because I had a business here and a family and everything. And he said, talk to us. He said, where'd you come from? But he said, I can tell that you know what you're talking about and you're genuine. He said, you've been there. And so that was the beginning. That was back in, 95, I think. And the
rest is history.
The rest is history. We had a contract real soon after that. And so after the very first year of whatever they needed doing, if they wanted advice on women's boots, or if they wanted advice on a ammunition round of what did I think,
or
how
a new
this worked.
Tupperware bowl to carry your deer pee in.
I quit having to do that.
Oh,
they
you
had
got
it in bottles after I went to work. But
Feel any of that?
but anyway, it was a very good thing. I appreciate all the years, because the main thing, it allowed a country woman that was just a basic hunter to travel the world and to experience different cultures, to see things that nobody in my family has ever seen. None of us ever ranged very far, and it just opened the world up to me, and I was able to let my kids experience some of that. After the very first year, we got a TV show. Bass Pro started one on OTNN. And it was Sunday night. It was one of the top-rated ones forever. There was Mossy Oak. There was Bass Pro Shops. There was like the big three, Nightingale. And then when TNN went out, we went Outdoor Channel. We went the whole gamut of all the networks like that. So I'll always be thankful.
It woke up a country girl. When you grow up in the country like we do, and your neighbor says they've been across the other side of the creek. That's something big.
Yeah.
Just to get over the creek. And now you went all the way around. How did you helping women get into the hunting and outdoors? You've been credited with a lot of that. They say stories written about you. I know you know all this, and you're very humble, but they say that you are probably single-handedly has brought more women into hunting, shooting than anybody. Well, what's the secret? What did you have that intention, or just you being there brought them in?
No, there's never been an intention of recruiting everybody, but maybe it was time. Maybe up until that point, society hadn't accepted women into the outdoors. There's always been women that hunted. You know, you think about the people going across the West in the covered wagons. You think them women... You think them women didn't pick up a stick, knock a rabbit in the head for supper or something? But you know, it was never publicized. It really wasn't socially acceptable, and maybe people was ready to embrace that. I don't know.
Did you get very much pushback as being a woman in the hunting industry?
Sure, at first, yeah. I used to get death threats all the time, but
oh really?
Oh yeah.
For what reason?
Because I was killing those poor defenseless creatures, you know, and why wasn't I home?
I'd rather you starve to death,
barefooted and
pregnant,
yeah, or something. I don't know. Who knows?
That's
I mean,
insanity.
that's all right.
You know,
that's okay.
but when
Things have changed.
You know that creek you and I was talking about. When you get over it, sometimes you want to get back to the other side of it, when the real world.
Well, I just don't let stuff like that worry me.
That's
It's like I do what I do, and they got to do what they do. And
did the hunting industry welcome you as a whole?
After a while, yes, very much so.
But at first, it was tough. Being a woman, I mean, after you
well,
got started,
there had to be.
You was a pioneer.
The resentment.
Yeah,
and, you know, there's always a kickback. There's always resentment, but once they realized that I was getting there for the right reasons, I guess maybe, you know, I'm all about conservation, and I'm all about
all hunters are.
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah, I should have said all,
but they also realized that I wasn't some maybe professional model, whatever, that was just wanting to look the part. And I guess some of the highest compliments I ever received was that you're the real deal.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's as high a compliment as you can get.
So you and Billy, y'all share interest. Yeah. I hunt.
I do too.
I love to hunt. You and Billy have been in that industry. Billy's dabbled in it a little bit, about being in the market for selling stuff, and I'm sure
I filmed a few hunts too, and fishing trips.
It's probably been a male-dominated industry until you come along.
Well, think about this. After I came along and the market was out there, a lot of women was working, making their own money. So that was another market for product too.
That's right.
Open that up. They spend, and a woman, if it's something she really wants, she's gonna spend it. You know.
I'm gonna let you in a little secret here that I've never told my audience out there, and Kevin may get mad when I say this, but you know the bigger part of our audience is women.
I didn't realize how that
it's
shook
a
down.
large.
You're welcome.
No, I think Billy said it's just Billy's good looks. I mean, if it is, I mean, it may be.
Well, Billy, that's going to change right now.
Yeah. But, you know, women are a big part of this world. In my business, you know, Mike's Mufflers, a lot of my customers are women. It's probably more women than men nowadays.
Well, most of us are not too mechanically minded.
Well, not that. It's just that women are out there now. And I don't, and I'm just accustomed to it.
We've always been out there.
I understand. I better hush.
Y'all wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for women.
I don't.
He ain't even noticed.
What I'm saying was, Brenda, I like you. You keep me on my toes. I like that. This woman has been around. She knows, and I ain't going to catch her. What I meant was, is our show being more women than men? I'm proud of that.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've got something that they want to hear, and it's people like you that's coming on the show.
Well, you know, I've told women for years that it's not a handicap being a woman.
No.
You know, the only handicap is your attitude about it. You know, you can just pin your ears back and do anything you want to do.
It is. What's some of your memories that stand out the most in your years? I know there's a lot of them. I mean, I know. But something that just popped in your head right then when I asked you that question. Tell us some stories and memories about hunting and what you did for all them years. What stands out to most that you could share with these people? Something that happened or something, just, you understand where I'm going?
You don't have time for me to tell 25 years worth of hunting stories.
One story. I want one that sticks out here. There's something right now popped in your head. I seen it when your eyes.
Few years ago. Oh, funny?
Anything. Just
There's
something.
Always funny because I don't want to take myself too seriously. But I had one of the coolest hunts.
There you go.
Okay.
We're looking at coolest. I like it.
All right. I was in Alberta, and the outfitter took me and another lady. There was a lady from Arkansas. She's an artist, and she had never been out of the state, never slept on the ground, never been on an airplane or anything. And I was speaking at I guess it was an Elk Foundation banquet in Missouri, and she had art that was in a gallery there. I said she hadn't been out of state. She had been out of the state, but not far out of Arkansas. But anyway, she just was at our table, and she says, "I'd just give anything to kill a moose." And I'm thinking, that's pretty far-fetched. Somebody from Arkansas won't kill a moose. And I just told her, I said, "Pam, I have a moose hunt coming up later this fall. Would you like to go with me?" And she just went into orbit. Her husband drove her to the Memphis airport. She said, "I can't fly by myself now. I've never been on a plane." And I said, "I'll meet you in Memphis." And so I went down there, loaned her a bunch of hunting clothes. She got her husband's 300 Win Mag, and we was off to Alberta, where there we met up with an outfitter, and he loaded 2 20-foot cedar canoes and enough gear to last a week, and hauled us up into the Northwest Territories and kicked us out. Each of us had a guide, and I had a cameraman, and we looked like Lewis and Clark. We had this big bundle that had our sleeping bags and our food in the back of the canoes, and we floated for a week. We never saw a power line, a bridge. I couldn't tell you the name of the river, but it was just every day. The maples up there were just that golden hue. It had the water. At night, the northern lights, we had a little nylon pup tent for me and her, and the northern lights were so bright that it was like a beer joint signs flashing all night or something. Yeah. And
did you have heat, or was it cold up there?
We had a fire.
Okay.
You just got closer to the fire. I mean, that was heat, But wolves howling all the time, all during the night. I mean, it was as primitive as you can get these days. And she killed a moose. Wasn't the largest one. She had a French-Canadian guide that spoke broken English. But she told me afterwards, she said, the day I got married, the day my child was born, the day I was baptized, and the day I went on the moose hunt with you are the 4 high points of my life.
Well, look at that.
Wow.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
That is
cool
wonderful
right there.
That's pretty good stuff.
Okay.
You've hunted all around the world.
Yeah.
Where's your favorite?
Oh, me.
You didn't know you were going to get these kind of questions.
Well, it's all right. My very favorite place to hunt is right down there in your neighborhood.
I understand. You can
on the Obion River.
Down there in
down
Mill
around
Creek.
Hyco, around
That's right.
Mill Creek.
We're neighbors, Billy. Her and I
on
are.
Goldston Springs, but it's my land, and there's a closeness there when you put in food plots. And I've been all last week. I've been bush hogging and trying to get my food plots clear for hunting season. I'm out. I know every tree on that place, and yes, I love Africa. I've been to Africa 9 times and hunted most everything over there.
I guess when they say it's nice to visit, but ain't no place like home.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, just to sleep in my bed and go hunt on my
own
own
a lot
place.
of people, Brenda, they don't understand what it's like to live in God's country like you and I do in Hyco, Mill Creek area. Billy, That's God's country.
Oh,
That's
I
where her and I
understand
live at over.
Yeah.
But
I ain't far from that.
No, you're over there where the angels are, but we're out there where God is, where we're at. You're close to the
You
angels.
just keep thinking that.
Well, that's how you feel early in the morning
Yes, right.
when you're there watching daylight happen.
That's something, Billy. She's been all over the world hunting.
And yeah, she said her favorite place was back home.
Back home.
That's right.
I tell you
When
something.
they asked you, like, where are you from? What did you tell them? Buchanan, or what? What would you tell them? Paris, or what? What would
I
you
usually
refer-
say Henry County.
Oh, Henry County.
Well, yeah, I was, grew up and went to school at Buchanan, but I've lived
Yeah.
in Puryear the last 21 years, and so, what's 15
I have
miles
to say
apart?
Paris because they don't know about Puryear.
Well,
My race car was a Hico Hustler. You ought to heard that when the announcer was announcing.
I bet that was a good one right there.
Hico. What's that name? I said, well, it's the Hico Hustler.
Yeah.
And I'd have to, honestly, they'd run up there and stick that microphone when they interviewing in races, and I'd say it's Hico. And what's that name come from? The show ain't about me; it's about you, Brenda. It's funny, and I'd say the town I live in is called Hico. Really, and Hustler was named after my favorite driver, which is Coyle Austin. He rode the Chi-Town Hustler. That's where my name, my race car, come from. But that's just something. But
well,
anyway,
a lot of people call it Hico.
Hey, they do.
And the Obion River, they call it the Obion.
Watching people on the news. What is that guy, Jim Content? What's his name? Used to do all the hurricanes and tornadoes.
Buchanan.
Oh, they say Obion.
Tom
Obion, yeah.
Cantari or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, that would always gripe me. Going on about your hunting all over the world, you've been to lots of countries. And you've seen probably the best of them countries, and you've seen the worst of them countries about the way living conditions and all. What's some of the comparisons? In this country right now, we're all broken. We're all fighting amongst ourselves. We all want somebody else, and you know what I'm saying. Tell us how blessed we are to be living in this country.
People just don't know. The last trip I took to
If
Africa.
that's political, I'm sorry, but I want you to tell us how
No, I
blessed it is.
took 2 of my grandsons to Africa, and they were adolescents, simply because I wanted them to see how the kids over there had it. I wanted them to experience the whole trip, as far as the animals and all the hunting and everything. But the main thing I wanted was a lesson on how blessed they are and
Amen.
how good they have it here, and how they need to work hard to protect what we have.
Amen.
If you've never seen poorness, I've been around some places, been around the world too. And if you haven't seen what real hunger or what real poverty is, it's not in this country. The definition of real poverty and real poorness, it's not in America. The poorest in this country would be considered rich in some places you've been.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
And when I try to tell people that, they try to flip it, Billy.
Oh,
But
yeah, that's
I
right.
understand we are the richest nation in the world. I understand that. But stop complaining, because it's a lot worse.
You live on a dirt floor. Your house got a dirt floor.
I was in the
it's like-
Yucatan, and we slept out. Of course, we did a bush camp, but even the housing, the main housing, it was rough. And
Mexico was funny.
Yeah.
We went across there, and their house is not much bigger than our studio, and there might be 12 people living in that house, and they're just as proud of it. And we come here, and most people's bathrooms as big as the studio. It's funny how when you just cross a river called the Rio Grande, that you see the difference. It's just
that's one of the things. Probably don't need that.
yeah, it's
but as far as the hunting goes, so many of the countries, hunting is not allowed for the common people.
That's right.
And so, for the price of a hunting license here, there's public land. People say, oh, well, you got to be rich, you got to own land. That is not true. There's public land available, and buy that hunting license, and you're free to go. But so many countries, you don't have that freedom.
I think it's about time for a break. I keep seeing something going on. I think it's break time. Will you stay? You're not going nowhere. We're going to finish up. We got to take a commercial break. So I keep telling Billy we're not going to pay him, but we are. If I can get these people to that we're doing all this. You just
They're
you
doing
just
it.
you
They're
just
doing
look
it.
cheap, don't you?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Billy said
I
you
just
just
look cheap. I'm expensive.
Don't go nowhere. We got Brenda Valentine, and we have really been talking about some stuff. And bow season opens up Saturday morning, Brenda. Is that right?
It sure does.
And so we've been talking about some hunting, and we're going to take a break. We're going to pay the bills, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about some other things Miss Brenda can talk about. We'll see you in a few minutes.
This presentation of the Mike Weatherford Show is being brought to you by
Paris Power Sports, a bad boy and skag mower dealer and service center that is the area's leading power sports company since 2016. Mow with an attitude and power on.
Napa Auto and Truck Parts. With over 95 years of experience, you can trust the Napa know-how.
Take Me Back Cafe, delicious home-cooked family-style meals in a nostalgic, warm, and inviting atmosphere. Take Me Back Cafe, great for the entire family.
And the attorneys at Hawley & McAdams, who with over 90 years of combined experience, pride themselves in competent, thorough representation, utilizing their vast experience in a broad array of practice areas. Voted favorite law firm in the 14th Annual Reader's Choice Award, Hawley & McAdams are proud and honored to serve you.
We got Miss Brenda Valentine, the First Lady of Hunting. She has really honored the Mike Weatherford Show by coming on. And Billy, well, she was talking about floating down that river. I was just looking at her. I had it in my mind. I was just thinking about it. Wouldn't that be so nice to be able to get in a dang canoe?
That's one of the. I'd like to do that. I hear some of them hunts where they go out and horseback. I mean, it just amazes me that what goes on in the hunting industry and what people pay to go hunting.
I've been all out west doing that, and it's pretty fun. Brenda, I'm glad you stayed with me. I mean, we took a little break there, and I've really enjoyed this. I mean, you are really, I'm sitting there mesmerized. Is that the word?
I don't know.
Listen to you tell them stories. I'm sure the listening audience too. It's pretty good. I mean, we've talked about you hunting all over the world. I'm going to get to some of the places you've been, but I got to ask you a question here, Billy. You know that she's the only known person that's ever been on the front page of the Wall Street Journal with a deer.
I didn't know that. That's pretty awesome right there.
Tell me about that.
Well, when Sarah Palin was running on the ticket for vice president, the reporter from the Wall Street, and it was known that Sarah hunted and was an outdoors person. Well, one day my phone rung, and it was a reporter from New York, and he said, I'm with the Wall Street Journal, and I want to interview you. And I said, well, okay, what do you want to know? And he said, I want to know about this hunting stuff. And I said, well, I don't know that I can tell you to where you'll understand over a phone. He said, I'm doing an article about this. And I said, well, I tell you what, dude, why don't you just get on an airplane, come down here, and I'll show you. And he said, well, all right. And I said, but let me tell you, if you come in to make fun of me, you just stay in New York, because I don't need you down here. And so
You feisty.
well, the next day he drove up. He flew into Nashville and rented a car and drove in. And he said, would you take me hunting? And I said, I think it was the end of August. And I said, there's nothing open but squirrel season. And I said, come on. And I sprayed him down, put a camouflage shirt on him, and here we went. And so, you know, too many leaves on, too many ticks crawling, it was miserable. But I showed him a dusting bowl, and he picked up a turkey feather, and he took that home with him, and I showed him acorns that was falling, and I showed him, deer trails, and just took him for a hike in the woods. And
Kill him a squirrel?
I don't remember if we got a squirrel or not, but it was all, I mean, he was just, wow.
just
You know,
New York City then,
he
huh?
was just like a little kid, you know, his eyes were, he was all attentive. And it was just, you know, I felt like I had opened his eyes to how.
Converted.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
he never one time was negative about it. He came with an open mind, and he said, just show me. And I said, well, we don't shoot something every time we go out. And I said, there's a lot more to it. You've got to have some woodsmanship about you. It's not about shooting. It's about the whole contest, I guess. And so he called me the next day, and he said, this is going to be a feature story, and I think it's going to hit the front page. Can you send me a picture? And I said, yeah, what do you want? And he said, whatever you want. Well, I think maybe it was with an elk. It was an elk or a big deer or something. Well, sure enough, it hit the Wall Street Journal. And he called me again, and he said, I'm not believing this. He said, there has never been a picture of a dead animal or a hunting scene or anything like that on the Wall Street Journal.
That's not what it is.
I know.
But Peter didn't come after them, boy.
Well, but they didn't, and I had people from all over the country, people I had known when 100 years ago, and they contacted me and they said, we picked up the Wall Street Journal this morning and said, there you are on the front page. I said, you get around when you're in Henry County.
That's right. You're exactly right. Well,
so that's the story on that.
Did you also know, Billy, that she, I think she's probably the only woman that's ever killed a Cape buffalo with one shot with a bow and arrow? Them some bad boys right there. Tell me about that hunt. I don't care if we run over time.
Well,
I'm not going to let you leave till I hear about the Cape buffalo with one arrow from Brenda Valentine.
I think everybody has every hunter, maybe everybody has a dream or something that is in their bucket list.
That's mine.
And a Cape buffalo.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it intrigued me. I guess I read Capstick, and talking about Black Deaths and all that.
They're the most, hippopotamus and Cape buffalo is it.
Well, brown bear, it'll eat you, but it won't do. A Cape buffalo is smart, yes, and they'll just stomp you to mush and laugh about it. They just have a vengeance in them, and it was just, it was like, Brenda, you need to test your grit and just see if you've still got plenty grit.
Where was you at?
In Africa.
Whereabouts?
South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you just?
Well, it took me a year to get a permit.
I think so. How do you just can't go over and kill it?
No.
Okay.
They had their regulations, and an outfitter I had worked with before, he and his wife were biologists, and she had worked with the game department over there. And I told her, I said, they said, you got to pull 90 pounds and a 2-blade broadhead, and they had all the regulations. And I said,
for a Cape buffalo, okay.
And, well, any dangerous game has to be a 2-blade broadhead. Yeah. And I said, well, let me educate y'all a little bit. It's not all about poundage, it's about kinetic energy. And so I went through and tried to teach them, and I was working with the director of wildlife over there at that time, and he was interested. He didn't just shove me aside. I said, let me tell you. And so I filled an arrow and made it weigh 1,000 grains. And I took an old Jerry Simmons steel-headed broadhead and took the bleeders off of it and just made a 2-blade that was cut on contact. And I was shooting for Parker Bows at that time, and they built me 2 special bows that I think I ended up pulling about, 82, 83 pounds, which was a lot. And it took me a year to build up to that. But my kinetic energy with that heavy setup was far more than their 90 pounds with a lighter arrow. So I was, and I went to the dump and got me some steel belted tires, and that's what I practiced on. So every day, it's like the old story, if you get a calf and you pick it up every day, by the time it weighs a ton, you'll still be able to pick it up because you picked it up every day. Well, I shot every day, and I just kept cranking that bow up until I bottomed it out. And so when I got there, I was prepared. I was ready. Yeah. And that was another one of those things. It was like, all that hard work that you did growing up just built some muscles on you, girl. So, yes, and my outfitter was very confident. I'd hunted with him 2 or 3 times. They did write me a special permit, and it said that my outfitter could not be more than 20 yards, and he had to be following he carried a .416 for a backup. if it was needed, if we got in a bad place. And I told him, I said, well, Siegfried, if we get in a bad place, feel free to jump in. My husband went, and Siegfried told Barney, he said, you stay at least 20 yards behind me. And Barney said, don't worry. I ain't getting 20 yards from the nearest tree I can climb. He said, don't worry about me getting too far behind you.
Barney might have been the smartest one on the hunt.
Yeah, well, anyway, it took a few days of, we tried ground blinds, we tried tree stands, we tried different methods, and finally we stalked one, got the wind right, and just one of those meant to be things. I made what I thought was a perfect shot, but I had rehearsed this in my mind for years. Right. And we had trackers, and the old sandy, dry ground, tracking's not real good if you're not used to that, but they're excellent. But the minute I shot, it run into the thorny bush, and he told me, he said, we have to wait an hour because, we just don't want to wade in on a wounded Cape buffalo. About 20 minutes out, we heard this bellowing, like awful. And one of the guides, which they spoke a different language, and he's yapping something. And I asked, I said, what did he say? And he said the bull is dead. And so we give it the hour. He said, knock another arrow, and we will proceed in very slowly. And it was gone when we got there. He said, he said, most of the people that even shoot with rifles have to have follow-up shots. Sure. He said, they're just such a determined animal. But I just got very lucky. And I'm here to tell you that night we had backstrap. We just, we dressed it, and
What you remember?
Well, they don't have scales and stuff like that, but it was
big.
I've seen enough cattle, I've been around livestock all my life. They're somewhere between 2,500 pounds.
Jesus
And but the bosses, it had this huge head. And I will tell you that the head of that, the big shoulder mount, is on display at Buckaroo Hatter's down at Covington, Tennessee. It's in the shop there. Yeah, it made a beautiful mount.
Well, I was kind of wondering this. I guess back then, how long ago was that?
That's not been 7 or 8 years.
They kind of fussing about that stuff now, coming from South Africa and bringing, you know how they are.
Well, if you have your taxidermy done over there, then it comes through customs and it's not a problem.
I knew that they was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know that they was, especially since that dentist, remember that.
Some of the
stuff.
CITES gets sticky on leopard and lion and stuff like that, but no, I had no problem.
No. Now, the military had you come over to Afghanistan, Germany, Southeast Asia. I think you was just, what word do I want to use? You was just thanking the military and helping them while they was over, giving them something fun to watch and all that. Tell me about all that, like going to support our military. That's got to be a exciting moment in your life.
It was. It was really a high point. One day I was working in the office, and the phone rung, and this lady says, "I'm so and so and so and so from the Pentagon," and I said, "You must have the wrong number." And she said, "No," and she says, "Well, is this Brenda Valentine?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "You that lady that hunts all the time?" I said, "Yeah, that's me." And so she told me what the plans were. They were pulling a group together to send on a little covert mission down on some of the forward camps. And I said, "So what? Why? What is about this?" And she said, "So many of our troops have been over there for so long, and so many of them are rural guys and gals, a lot of them from the South, but they have roots maybe somewhat like yours. They grew up hunting and fishing, and we think it would be a morale booster for you to come and tell them that the hunting industry has not forgotten them and that they welcome them home and they wish them well."
I bet you done that proudly.
Well, yes. It was scary,
Sure.
When my husband got home from work that day. I said, "You ain't gonna believe who called me today." I said, "Some chick from the Pentagon." He said, "You got to be nuts." I said, "No." So we went immediately to a bookstore in Paducah and bought a map just to see where all these countries are, because it was. And she said, "We'll be back in touch, and when we learn more, pack your bags. Don't pack anything bright. Bring very little." Okay, so. The first 2 attempts, I was on the way. They said, we'll have a plane ticket.
Was you going to go to all them countries in one stint, or did you go to one area and then come back to the States and go to the next?
No, we hit the road, and there was 3 of us. They brought in Jim Shockey because of all our allied troops.
Right.
He's from Canada. And Bill Miller, which he had been with... in the hunting industry for years, magazine editor and TV host. So they wanted someone that represented a lot of different areas. And for me, it was the guys from the South and the women. There was a lot of women over there.
How long was you gone? How long did that trip take?
3 weeks, I think.
Man. Where'd you go first?
We went into Germany and went to Lundstall Hospital, and that was built back, in the 50s, but it's still the nearest hospital where they bring our casualties out. So we stayed a couple of days there and visited every patient in that hospital. So many of them were victims of roadside bombings and burns and all of that.
That's gotta be
so
horrible.
we went through all of that, and then we flew into Kyrgyzstan and got prepped as far as bodysuits, our armor, helmets, the whole gamut on that. And that's also where a lot of the troops would come out and stay 2 or 3 days when they were getting sorted out or on just a little break or something. So they had like a cantina there for a lot of the troops and a band and stuff, and so we went in and just socialized. And an interesting story on that, there was a fellow there that was FaceTiming his girlfriend. He was from Florida, and he said, we've been together for 5 years or something, and he said, "I'm over here now, and I regret that I never asked her to marry me." And he said, "I don't know if I'll ever make it home." And he said, "I really love her and I want to marry her." And he said, "I think I'm going to do it on FaceTime." And he said, "But I don't have a ring." And I had some gold earrings or something. And I jerked my earrings off, and I said, "Here, offer her these." And so he did. He and I was standing back watching, and he said, I want to marry you, and I don't have a ring here, but would you accept these earrings? And she accepted, and it was kind of, that was a touching thing. So we left Kyrgyzstan, and
did you ever contact any more of this guy? Did he get married, or
he sent me I think a Facebook Messenger thing at one time, and he said, I made it home and we got married. Yes,
good.
In fact, I still hear from a lot of those guys over there. He made it home and they got married happily ever after.
That's wonderful.
But so then I flew in. We went into Bagram. I don't know. Are y'all familiar? Mm-hmm. Okay, that is
Hell City.
That is the pit. I'm telling
you,
nasty. Got in there middle of the night, led me into one of these bunkers. Had been shot all to pieces. You can't speak the language. You don't know a person. They separated me and the guys, and I'm off in this big old bunker full of sandbags, and they've all been shot to crap. And it is, I'm thinking, oh man, what have I done here? It stinks. It's a nasty place.
It smells like a urinal and a septic tank.
Well, they burn all that, and it's smoking, and
it's nasty.
It's nasty.
Yeah.
But we stayed there for a day or two, and then went on down to Kabul, and that became our base camp. But every day we was loaded into a Black Hawk helicopter, and we went up over the walls and over the mountains, and we'd drop into Special Forces camps for a day or ever how long. Sometimes it would come up sandstorms and they couldn't fly. But and in the meantime, coming from Kyrgyzstan to Afghanistan, my luggage was lost, and I had a backpack, and in my backpack I had turkey calls and American flags. The AMVETS down here sent me out with a few American flags, and I had my own signature Brenda Valentine sweet talk turkey call.
Right.
Well, that's what I had. I think I had one pair of clean socks, and so I gathered me up a couple of shirts, and here I went. But
That's good
every
stuff.
camp I went into, that the guys would gather around and they'd say, "Talk to us. It's been so long since we've heard a Southern accent.
There you go.
And we're from Mississippi, and we're from Alabama, and we're from Texas, and Kentucky. And we're hungry to hear this, and we're hungry to hear hunting stories." And a lot of times I would just pull out my turkey call and I'd yammer a little bit on it at the mess hall or something, wherever we were. And it was just music to their ears. They appreciated that so much. I took the flag into every camp we went into, and every one they did a little ceremony. We went to the Queen's Palace that had been blown all to pieces, and so many of these forward camps, some of the sniper camps and stuff. And they would, very reverently have a flag ceremony. And I've had that flag put up until this year. And when the PBR come to Paris, they asked me to present the flag on one of my horses at that, and I pulled that flag out of its case and unfurled it for the first time since I was in Afghanistan.
Sure is. Amen. I like that.
That's really just don't get no better than that. I mean,
Well, it was an honor for me, and of course my family was scared to death while I was over there. But and we were shot at a few times. They were snipers, and they told me, they said, they're not the best shots. They've got primitive weapons.
why didn't they let you shoot back?
Not no more.
They wouldn't even let me bring a pocket knife. I'm
I
telling
know,
you.
but you should have said, "Hand me that gun, son. Let me show you how we do it out
I
on Mill
did.
Creek."
Let me tell you, the best part. I mean, we had machine gunners in the doors
both
all the
windows,
time.
that's right.
Yeah. But we landed in this one camp, and the whole crew was from Mississippi, and they still message me.
Yeah.
But we got there, and they had these signs, welcome, welcome. And they said, "We understand that y'all like to shoot." And I said, "Well, yeah." And so they started out, they'd been there for 2 years, no visitors. They had some recurve bows, they had some compound bows, and we started on that. And then they went on to where they had these C-wraps, where these machine gunners was on their bellies. Then we got in the tanks and was shooting out of the tanks, all this 50 caliber stuff. We
got
shot
to do all that.
Oh yeah, I shot rocket launchers
man.
at old German tanks. When not German but Russian. When Russia left,
They left all that
they
stuff.
left all their stuff, and it was just junkyards of trucks and tanks and all of their equipment, and it was all full of the old diesel, been in there since the 50s. But when you'd hit it, they'd pull it up on the mountain and they'd let me shoot a rocket launcher, and it seemed like it was going to be forever before it got there, and it'd make a little boom, and then in a minute the whole sky was black.
Man, that's some good stuff right there.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been blessed, Bill. But the number one thing was you supported our troops. Did you felt that patriotism, that spirit while you was there? How do you describe that?
I saw things over there that American people need to see. I saw our troops leading little girls across streets to schools because they'd never been to school before. Our soldiers were assisting kids that had never had these opportunities. The girls were getting to go to
Did you
school.
have much intermingling with the Afghanis people? They allow much of that?
Oh, they don't think much of women. The ones that were supposedly trusted, yes, they worked on the bases. A lot of them were in the kitchens. A lot of them were interpreters. I did.
We left them in a mess. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know how far down that rabbit hole you want to go, but we left that country in a damn mess. Mm-hmm. You know what, Billy? What the hell? I mean, we pull out after 20 years. Mm-hmm. We are the number one we armed a terrorist when we left.
We did.
I'm just.
She shot old Russian junks, and we left our new stuff.
Right.
Well, I've thought of that many times after the pullout. Granted, I hate to think that we'd be there for another 100 years, But
why didn't we get
we
our
still
equipment?
have places, in every
Yeah,
country
you got
we have
Germany,
bases.
Get our people out.
But we do it a little at a time.
Get our people out.
Bring
get our
our stuff
equipment out.
home.
Get everything out of there. Pull your troops back. Read history. You didn't just when you retreated. You had somebody behind the retreat line slowing down the people chasing you. You just didn't run off and leave your cannons.
Well, you burnt the bridge.
That's
back.
right.
I mean, if we were going to leave, why not? And
It's just
going
a
to leave
damn
in
mess.
such a hurry. Why didn't we just blow up all
It's
the
a
stuff
mess.
that we left there?
Why ain't
Well,
they blowing it up right now?
I
They
don't
got
know,
access to
Brenda.
it.
We-
You can't
we-
tell me with
privy
them.
We had
to
an
see some of the stuff.
We had an FBI guy, CIA guy. You spoke to him, or
saw that show.
he
It
was
good.
he was right over in the middle. He could tell you he just got briefed. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure he couldn't talk a lot, but it's a mess. I hate to say this in front of a woman, but it's a damn mess. And
I
we
agree with you.
Yeah, we say that over in our area, and we say hell too. I went to hell, but I'm not going to go no further.
Well, think about the people that we've lost over there. Don't you know that they feel like that was waste?
Yeah. Yeah. But I had a woman was on my show. She had a son that got killed over there, and she looked me in the eye, and I almost cried. She said, "I will not let it say my son died in vain," and that done something to me.
Well,
I respect
that's
her.
true. That is true.
I didn't have an answer, and I wanted to. I didn't know what to say, but she's right. Hell no,
Yeah.
they didn't die in vain. We
helped for a while.
That's right.
Yeah.
We helped for a while.
That's
You
right.
said
We
they're
did.
taking them little girls over to school and stuff like that. I mean,
Before that, the number one cause of death in women was childbirth, and we had doctors over there, but the women weren't allowed to go to a male doctor, and so we ended up with bringing women doctors over there to help those women have their babies and stuff. So there was so much humanitarian efforts going on that the news doesn't report.
No, and all that
it don't fit their agenda.
and a flash is gone.
That's right.
It's just, I don't know how far down the road you want to go on that, but what is a country girl? I'm getting close to wrapping up, but we got another subject I got to get on. If it takes me longer, my name's on front, so we'll just do as long as we want to. Set a little banner up there, Mike's Weatherford Show.
That's you, ain't
me.
it?
So
That's
we're
you.
going to keep
Okay.
talking.
All right.
So if you hear that in your ear, just ignore him. What does a country girl from Mill Creek think about what's going on in this country right now?
Oh, man.
Are you allowed to say?
Why, who would not allow me?
Oh, I didn't know.
Well, we got a thing called freedom of speech. You
For a
forgot
while,
about that.
and that's
They're
it.
trying to take it along with everything else.
I guess my biggest fear is losing that freedom, losing.
What do you see in this country? We can't keep going the way we are. You stressed to me earlier when we first started, and which I already knew, just a country girl that worked hard and been successful. That's what you are. You're sitting right there.
Thank you.
And nowadays, we want to think everything's give to us. They don't want to start when you was a young child barefoot, slopping the hogs, chopping firewood. Probably only got, like I did, one new pair of shoes a year, and now we got closets full of them. They don't want to wait to that. They want to get everything that you got now. You took your whole entire life to build. They want it give to them. So what kind of advice can you give these people from Mill Creek, which is right down the road, and I'm right around the corner from you?
You're right.
How do you see it, this world, the shape we're in now? Country mostly.
When I grew up, it was an embarrassment to be on welfare or relief or whatever they called it. It was an embarrassment to get free lunches at school, which, my parents told me, they said, if we have to sell eggs, which will, to buy your lunch, we'll do that. But don't you ever make fun of anybody that can't do better. But it was, my parents scraped and dug and done everything they could do to make sure that we never had to ask anybody for anything. And I think that pride has been taken away. I think there's generations of people that never knew that pride, that would, what do they say, scratch with the chickens before they would accept charity or help or whatever.
I was raised what you're saying. I hear my father saying that.
Right. Well, my mother and dad both. It's like, no, we're glad for widows and orphans. We'll help them.
Oh, yeah.
But if there's I guess there's 3 things that I can't stand.
Brenda. When you and I grew up, when your mama cooked fried chicken on Sunday, whatever was left, you carried to the neighbor. You remember them days?
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Well, I guess I've always said the 3 things I can't stand, and 1 is a lazy man, and 2 is a whining woman, and 3 is a spoiled kid. So
you got the whole. Look at all these. Look at my help out here. They all love me that.
I mean, you told me I could say what I want to. That's how I feel.
How do you say it?
Okay.
And I agree with you 100%.
So if we got rid of all of that, things would look a lot better, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's why we got to take them warning labels like you talking about. We got to take them off.
Yeah, I think we need to do
and
something.
we need to stop bubble wrapping everything.
Yeah. People's got to understand that you gotta walk before you walk. And people nowadays, they want self-satisfaction. They're selfish. It's all about them. And it's not about you. You can't have a civilization when it's all about you. We all got to work together. We got to help our neighbors. The fried chicken. If I had too much at my house, my mom would say, "Carry that over there, Miss Spalding next door. What's left?" And I'd carry it over. And Miss Spalding would bring us Daddy have watermelons. We give watermelons to the neighbor. They might give us sweet corn or beans. Everybody, but we was all poor, but we didn't know it because the whole damn neighborhood was poor where I grew up.
If you had something to eat, you wasn't poor.
That's right.
Yeah.
I didn't know what poor was, and I don't think society nowadays has a clue what you and I knew as poor. We looking back on our childhoods, we can tell you what poor was
but
like.
But aren't you thankful for it?
Yes, ma'am.
To me, one of the best blessings is being able to grow up appreciative, poor, and working. And
do you have this problem that I have, and my kids call it hoarding, but I have a problem throwing stuff away sometimes.
We moved this year, and it took 6 months, and I've got stuff stored in every shed, and I've sold all this stuff and give away.
You hear it.
Yeah.
You hear it. She hears it up there with my daughter.
Yeah.
Daddy's a hoarder. No, I mean, I might need 5,700 milk jugs. Why is it? It's my milk jug. No, it's not that many. I might save a few milk jugs, a few mason jars, or.
Oh, don't get rid of them. No. I'm telling you, I've been canning all.
Right, I save all that stuff, and my
too.
children say, "Dad's a hoarder," but you know what?
I got it if I need it.
When the crap hits the fan, they on that phone. Hey, Dad, if you got some, I knew you might have one. That's just funny. I mean, but I agree with you, and I appreciate you being honest about it. I think you do. How's COVID changed your life with all your hunting around the world?
It changed majorly. I was laid off.
I understand.
I worked for the National Wild Turkey Federation for 13 years and traveled, spoke to groups, did schools for kids, women, disabled, veterans, everywhere. Took all these people hunting and everything, and it virtually just stopped because they didn't want people gathering up. So I lost my job there. That they made their money from banquets. I went around and spoke at banquets, and
I've been to your banquets.
Okay, and so that was thank you. Yeah. That changed. And then Bass Pro Shops, same thing. Every time they opened a new store, we was there greeting people, signing autographs, cutting ribbons, whatever they needed, doing all kinds of events. Well, because the first year they couldn't even have Santa Claus. So what kind of deal is that? And so it changed.
Then they couldn't have church.
Yeah.
Remember, they stopped church too.
Well, I'm telling you, we still go to truck church is what we call it out at Van Dyke.
Yeah.
We go, turn on the radio in the truck, kick my feet up on the dash, and get my preaching right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
But it's how's it changed how Brenda lives? Has it changed? Do you still
I'm
go?
home more, and
come up
that's
here?
good. Why, yeah, it don't change.
I see you out riding around. We wave. You come by the shop. You and Barney do. I mean, Bernie. Yeah.
Oh, if you think I'm crawling in a hole somewhere just with, a mask on and all that, no.
I knew you got to get that out of there. I knew you understand.
I do what I'm going to do.
That's right.
And I go to the grocery store. I went down to the funeral home before I come up here. I was the only one there in camo, but that's all right.
Well, no, that's what I want. Billy, that's what I love about Brenda. She just country. Tells you like it is.
That's one thing I've heard about her. Mr. Eddie Salter, he really thinks the world of you.
Well, when you are yourself, you don't have to remember to be somebody else,
But I like your honesty. If I agree with you and I or not, by God, we're honest. Yeah. You tell it like, when I ask you a question, you have honesty. That's the best. Honestly, I'm going to get on to one more thing because they're telling me that we're running over our allotted time, but I don't care. Chronic waste disease.
Oh, man.
They found it in our area. They found it in my backyard.
I know exactly where they found it.
Right in my backyard.
And I watched your show with the biologist and the game warden. Sure.
We had some good information.
That was good.
If all people that knows about chronic waste disease, not from the biology standpoint, but about hunting, being around, it's you.
I've seen it.
You've been all around it. Tell me what you think about out west, how they handled it, and what you think Tennessee could do learn from. I know what they could learn from Wisconsin, let's hope, and what you've been around the whole country. How does let me make it easier on you. How does the average hunter in his area where it's been since the 70s, how they treat it?
They don't treat it like nothing. They just go hunting. Wyoming, different states, Colorado, different places. It's like, yeah, we got it, but we're going to lose a few deer every year. But
it just wasn't the end of the world.
No, it was. I kind of equate
you hunted
it with
in areas where it is.
Yeah, okay. Where they'd have to do the brain tissue and all of that, and
so the hunter just got lost interest in it. They just said, "Hell with it, we're going to hunt."
Yeah, I mean, don't you remember when I guess the coons around here, they got overpopulated and they all got distemper and the squirrel different. I know that it's not the same as these other diseases, but I also feel like it's been around. It's kind of like cancer. It's been around forever. We don't have a cure, and it's not going to affect everybody. That's the same way with CWD. Not every deer in the woods is going to have this. It is going to strike some. And
you think they? I talked to the biologist on my show, and I know another biologist that I can't repeat it. I can't say his name. I promise him I wouldn't. And he says they are some signs of immunity coming up, natural immunity to this, or resistance is the word. Have you heard of that, seen any of that, or do you hear hunters talking about it where you go?
Not really. I think it's just one of those luck of the draw things that they figure it's one of those things that's always been around. We deal with it. We lose a few deer.
But you think as a whole our herd's going to be okay, Henry County?
I do.
If anybody know, it'd be her.
Well, I'm out there every day. I was out there this morning, scouting around, seeing what I could find going on in the woods. Right. And so far, I haven't seen anything of it. But, we had blue tongue here a few years ago.
That was awful. We found them on pond banks in our place.
I mean, you couldn't drive down the road without smelling dead deer. They were in every creek, every pond, and everything. And we lost some deer. And typically, it's your older, mature bucks that you're going to lose, which you hate to do that. But, 2 or 3 years, we're back. We did lose them. And I think it's, as much as anything, just a natural nature die-off ever so often.
I've heard rumors, and I asked this guy that, and I've had some people say I didn't push it hard enough because I'm not on her to push nothing. No. But I wonder if it couldn't be because they found it, the first case was found in a research pen in Colorado in the late 60s. I wonder if it ain't man-made. I've asked that question, and conspiracy theorists say, yes, Mike, it was man-made. I don't know. You've heard that rumor, too. It makes you wonder. Who knows? I mean, Elvis is dead, and we did walk on the moon.
Not all sickness is man-made.
That's right. Some of it's natural. But I wonder where that just come from. It's kind of funny. All of a sudden, bam, here it comes. We didn't hear about it till then. what have you changed the hunting around your? Which I have quit feeding 3 or 4 years ago.
I don't feed.
No, I quit putting
I
spreaders.
food plot.
I do that. I'm talking about
plot.
with seed and seed. I quit all that 3 or 4 years ago. I put it off my hunting farm because I knew that was not good. Because you got, especially the kind got the elephant where they walk up there and stick their head in there, and the next deer goes behind it. I said, if there's any disease come through, I'll kill all of them in my damn area. So I quit that. I just do food plots, and I did cover up all my man-made salt blocks and stuff like that. I covered up my
Mine's
trash.
all melted. I checked them this morning.
Yeah.
It's just down to mud.
Yeah.
But I won't refresh them.
No.
And but I'm not pouring diesel fuel in them either.
No,
I'll
no.
just let them
Let
stomp
'em go
that
on.
up.
I just took my tractor and covered mine up. What I did,
But-
and 3 or 4 years ago, and now some of the guys that hunt with me, they look at me and say, "You knew this was coming." No, it just it was getting around. It come funny. It kind of come south, up north, and back south, and come up through the bottom. It come into it got Wisconsin, but then it got into Alabama. It kind of it's funny how that is.
Well, it's in the ground, and
It stays there for years.
I know. It's you're not going to control it. You're not going to cure it, and if it's not going to change how I hunt this year. And if I see a sick deer, I will put it down just as I would if it had a broken leg or
That's right.
any other major ailment.
Humanely is what. I don't want to suffer.
But as far as crying wolf and staying at the house and everything, no.
I'm not neither. So what do you say after all your years of hunting? Just tell the listening audience out there, a lot of hunters are watching us, we're going to be okay.
Yes, we are.
We're
Just
going to live through it.
look on the bright side.
Right.
Always be optimistic.
Yeah.
And
But you've lived through it.
Just get up and go.
You
and
lived through it. You've seen other states that's had big problem with this, and guess what? They still hunting deer.
They found one deer here, and we've probably got, 20,000 in the county.
Yeah.
So that's pretty low odds.
That is. Billy, what do you think?
Well, I got one question.
Well,
I didn't find out till tonight that one of your cameramen was Mike Waddell. You got anything funny on him I can pick on him when next time I see him?
No, I wouldn't. I do not talk about. In fact, Michael was a spokesperson for the NWTF at the same time I was. We were hired at the same time. But yes, when he first started out, he was a kid. Michael, his dad wanted him to go to college, and he said, "I don't want to go to college. I want to go hunting." And so he worked for the summer for Jordan, and at the fall, I think his dad went and talked to Bill and told him, said, I wish you would let him go because I want him to go to college. And he said, I don't want to go to college. I want to keep doing this. So they put him on as carrying a camera and filming. And so and it wasn't long before his personality kind of busted out, and he was in front of the camera, and it's been a success story ever since. But Michael's a good guy. He's been, I think, good for the industry as far as being clean cut and more family oriented. He is funny, but no, he's good. I guess probably he used to in hunt camp. He'd have chocolate milk by the gallons, and he'd just chug.
I like chocolate milk. I love milk.
But I do too. But
I think T-Bone got a thing for Cheetos. I don't know. That's kind of the thing down there.
But no, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Toxie Hayes and the Hayes family with Mossy Oak. I've been in their camp for, maybe nearly 20 years. And so the whole Mossy Oak crew has been excellent to me, from Mr. Fox, who is, 92 and killed another turkey this year. He's killed a turkey every year for like 50 years or something.
That's good
and
stuff right there.
A deer every year. His grandsons, Toxie has twin sons, and they're grown now.
Yeah,
but now
I met them down there in Mississippi at their place. I've been down around them. That's some good folks.
Well, another one of these American companies that has been a success story. Toxie, he started out slicing bologna at one of the meat factories and just wanted to, he went out in the woods and picked up a big handful of dirt and leaves and everything and took it to a graphics lady, and he said, make this into a pattern for material, and the rest is history.
Tell you a funny story before we go. A friend of mine had a sewing factory. I raced with him. That's how he had his money to race. Plus he had sponsors. And he sold a lot for Fruit of the Looms, Haynes, and all them. Haynes, excuse me. And he said that they come to him years ago wanting him to do some Mossy Oak or one of them companies. And he said, all right, that ain't never going to work. I'm not going to gear up my factory to sew all that camo. No. And he said, now I'm mowing the guy Bill Jordan's yard. That's how nobody believed it would ever take off.
Right.
Everybody used military or what, but and you look back on it, how many people can go, duh, you know? But this guy didn't sew the shirt because they was all made in America back in the day.
Well, it's just the pattern is licensed.
Yeah,
and so to put it on anything, you buy that license.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but they wanted him to sew for him.
Sew for him.
And he didn't do it because he said, no, he didn't want to.
He didn't think that was a market, did he?
No, he didn't think it'd ever go nowhere. Yeah. And now he said, look at it. He said, I missed the boat on that one. Well, Brenda, I've enjoyed myself. Billy,
well,
haven't you?
I have too.
Yeah, I have too.
This has really been interesting for me. I've learned a lot.
Well,
and I really want to thank you for taking the time away from your life to come on Little Old Mike's show and sit here and just share everything you share with us. I really, really appreciate that. It means a lot
Thank
to me.
you, Mike.
Hope you've had fun.
I have had fun. I love it here.
Yeah, it's just.
You've got a neat little place and a wonderful crew.
Oh, I've got the best crew they are out here,
super
guys.
crew.
I mean, they are. I mean, nobody understands. You do. What's
do.
behind the scene of all this stuff. And I strictly tell everybody I couldn't do it without these guys right here. I mean, Billy, we are blessed to have
I know that.
these people to dedicate their Tuesday nights to come up here and look at me and you. And we get all the glory when these guys are the ones that does it. It ain't me. It's these guys. They're the ones that does it. I'm just an idiot, and Billy just pretty. That's what it's all about, right?
All that now.
Well, you said that's why women was watching us.
That was a joke, Mike.
Oh, you didn't mean it?
No.
So I got to go back and do more research.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be darned. I guess, Brenda, I was wrong. Will you come back again sometime and just have a chat with
We
me?
admitted that. We got that on tape.
Yeah. Well, that was wrong. Yeah, but edit that part out. But we have fun. You can see that. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I want you to come back sometime because I'm going to have a night when I just want to get some of my guests to come back and we just re-chat because there's a lot of stuff that you and I'm going to think of when I'm on the way home. You're going to think, I wish I'd have said this. But you know what? That's always, and that's what makes this fun. Is
one of the things I like about the hunting industry, I believe we're the ones that got it right. Them and fishermen, we're kind of different from the rest of America. And, you talking about Mr. Hayes. One of the things I liked about it when I went down there in Mississippi, he took all them buildings, almost looks like Paris, but he's redone all them, put all his offices in there, and I mean, they just like me and you.
All right, it's in my ear. We got to cut it. Brenda,
Yep.
Thank you for coming, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I wouldn't
Yeah, thank you a lot.
Yeah, it means a lot to have somebody that's been around the world, been on every major network, been on the Wall Street Journal, been on Fox, been on all of it, and guess what? She come back home, and I appreciate it. Well, I want to thank all my guests for tuning in with us again. We've had a good show tonight, right before season starts, bow season. We've had the lady on here, Billy, that probably going to wear one out Saturday morning. Bow season comes up. We've had a good one. I want to thank all my viewers. I want you to go to Facebook, like us. I want you to follow us. I want you to go to YouTube, and I want you to subscribe and go to Rumble. We're on Rumble, and we're working on, right now as we speak, getting our own platform. We're going to grow this show. We're going to take it up as far as we can, but it's going to be through viewers like you. So I really want to appreciate everybody tuning in.
Yeah, that's right. Follow us.
Follow us, like
subscribe
us. Subscribe to us, and talk about us. Tell everybody about us.
Yeah,
we are here
bad.
for you. I mean, we bring people on here to talk about stuff that you won't find nowhere else around here. I mean, probably won't even find it in the country that talks the way we talk around here and the stuff we talk about. So I want you to help us grow, and I want to thank you for tuning in to us. So I think I hear a little music in my ear. Does that mean that I'm done?
He's ready for it.
I think he's done. So Tune in again. We're going to be probably doing a little live Bert, me, and Billy Will this coming Thursday. We got some stuff to talk about. But this Thursday. Tuesday, tune in again. Be our live show. We've got Dave Vance from the Tennessee Farm Association. He's coming in. He's going to tell us what's going on about our gun rights in Tennessee. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. And tell them bye, Billy.
All right, we're out of here. We'll see y'all next weekend. Same
Come back in. Thank you a lot. Appreciate it.
This portion of the Mike Weatherford Show was brought to you in part by
L.I. Smith & Associates, a full-service engineering and surveying company that combines 40 years of industry expertise with new cutting-edge technology to provide innovative solutions to real-world problems. Headquartered in Paris, the professionals at L.I. Smith & Associates are dedicated to providing high-quality surveying and civil engineering services throughout Henry County and the surrounding region. L.I. Smith & Associates, industry expertise, innovative solutions, and community-focused.
54 Fuel Mart, a great place to eat with friendly staff and some of the best gas prices in town. Stop in for a bite to eat or get treated like family. That's 54 Fuel Mart, 1213A West Wood Street in Paris.